Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning, Felix and Srini.
Hey, Sammy, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, we missed you for a couple of weeks.
Yes. Hey, Stephen.
Hi, Sammy. Hello, everyone.
Hi. Just give maybe 2-3 more minutes for us to join. While we are waiting, any opens from the team? Hi, Raj.
Hey, Sammy, I am so sorry. I was talking to Bert Renee. Yeah, this had to do with the OpenSol FAS. I'll give you an update on that when or whatever, when we have an opportunity. Hey, everybody.
Sure. Okay, I think we can get started. Any opens from the team?
Yes, one quick one. Is Allison here?
Yes.
Okay, so great. Hi, Allison. This has to do with an update on the specification, the OpenSol specification. We are planning to make an open sorry, was there a question? Okay, so we are planning to make another open source release of OpenSil in the very near future on GitHub, and that would be for another platform. But in addition to that, we also plan on releasing the OpenSil specification, the fast firmware architecture spec as well in the open. So before we actually do that, I'd like all the stakeholders that have been involved deeply within the OpenSil development and the architecture development and the development of the code as well. So this is a call into action for all the vendors, including Inside, AMI, and Phoenix, if Phoenix is here today, and 9 Elements, of course, if I forgot them, my bad, and Google as well. So if there is anybody, any other, or anyone else from other company who wants to partake in the review process, please do reach out to me, raj.kapoor@ocprojects.net or amd.com. Any questions, anybody? And Intel, of course. Allison, sorry, I forgot you.
No worries.
So this is, are you going to make it outside the work stream, Raj? For getting work stream started?
It's up for debate whether it is outside of a work stream. It doesn't matter. So what I do plan to do is, at least in the OPF work stream, I would like to put a pointer from there to the documentation on the GitHub. And because the GitHub, all our GitHubs for OpenSil, the POCs, they have been on github.com. And so this documentation will go there as well. But I have been debating whether I should put it in OCP, or if what the value would be to put it in OCP versus GitHub. I can't seem to come up with any rationale why it should be in OCP. But if somebody can educate me, that would be great.
It seems like even if it's not Raj and OCP, like you're planning on doing the review and then releasing it publicly, right?
Well, the review would be a closed room review. Whoever wants to review it, I won't put it out in the GitHub before it is reviewed. So it has to be reviewed.
Correct. Yeah.
And then I put it out there in the open.
I guess afterwards, right? At some point after reviews are complete, then it would be public the same way that current OpenSil revision is.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Raj. Any other opens?
I have an update, but that is on Open Sci-Fi, but that we can talk about it in the main.
Yeah, it will go through the workstream updates there, right? So before that, a couple of things, right? The regional summit abstracts are due February 10th. I hope people are submitting it for the work stream or OPF projects. I think Raj and Alison, you are planning to submit one, right?
I already did.
Okay.
That's what the update I was going to give.
Okay. Any other things that we want to submit from the OPF perspective as work stream updates?
I think I did see Felix's addition to the work streams for configuration platform, unified platform configuration. I think very strongly that we should put an abstract for that as well for a presentation.
Felix, are you?
Yeah, so yeah, I sent the update like a few hours ago. I don't know if people had a chance to review it. So this is kind of my view of what should be the effort of this work stream, and maybe like the problem description that is there in the document. When you read the description, the first thing that comes to mind that this work stream should essentially create like a catalog, right? Look at certain areas of platform configuration, what kind of information is needed, let us standardize the data structure. And this is still part of the work. I'm mentioning it at the end. But I think, first of all, today, if we start standardizing, we are not there yet because too many differences between the vendors. So maybe once we move along with the chipset interface standardizations, there will be more fruitful field for us to work on platform data configuration. But before that, I think as a first goal for this work stream, I suggest to focus on coming up with a unified ecosystem to describe porting data. And essentially, I'm talking about some binary format that can be, used for presenting the data, as well as the source format that can be used to describe the data, to describe the format and the actual data. For the binary part, of course, we can never achieve 100% unification, so there are always going to be vendor-specific data structures. So the binary format is mostly like a wrapping format that will encapsulate platform-specific and vendor-specific blobs. So let me pause here. Any questions about the documents?
Yeah, so Felix, a couple of things here, right? One is for the abstract and presentation, and another one is we want to still go through the work stream, the write-up that you have done. We have to review it. What I'm wondering is for the abstract submission, or if you want to plan to present, what is the content going to be, right? Content could be like specifying the problem. What are the different problems exist? Maybe another couple of months. I don't know whether the work stream will able to summarize. Here is the problems that exist today. Little more details before
Yes.
you try to find the solution. How are you going to solve the problem, right?
Yeah, so
Yes.
how exactly how the way I was seeing it, we of course present the problem, then why we believe that defining this infrastructure will be helpful, and then maybe we present the direction in which we are moving. Like as I said, we will not have the spec by the time, but we should be able to have like high level approaches. Like this is the kind of things that we are looking to do. Here are a few examples. The formal spec is kind of something like that.
Yeah. So with that, I think are you able to submit on abstract then?
Okay.
A case study of what are the problem exist or something like that. Right?
So what is the? I mean, of course, the write up. I can do the write up, but what is the formal process? Who do I send it to?
So we in the OCP, you have abstract submission, right? I can send you the link. You just need to.
But I'm saying it's not. I shouldn't. Do I submit it as an? It's not an MI submission, right? It's like OPF submission. So how do I do it to be official OPF submission?
It's still you put your company name like AMI, and others can join too, right?
Okay.
But you can still submit as one of the slots there, right?
Okay.
Is that anybody else? Any comments on that?
Yes, I would ask, this is Stephen. Allison, would you want to be, well, not just Allison, but our hardware vendor, silicon vendor representation, a platform representation, I should say. Stronger together, the group presentation. I'm not suggesting Intel.
Yeah.
Maybe AMD and Intel, and Felix? Seems
Okay.
like it would be stronger with some hardware support there, but maybe it's too. I don't know. It's too soon.
I think I agree with you, Steven. I think if multiple vendors as well as the consumers able to say like here is a problem exists today without even giving a solution, right?
Yeah.
With some example of kind of anyway, before you try to find a solution, you need to document the problems and put some case study of what are the problems are there, and when you solve it, then that problem will be get solved, right?
Sure.
You need
I mean,
document
it's
that.
always more credible, right?
Right.
It's always more credible
Yeah.
when multiple parties and
Right.
you know a greater representation of the OPF. So that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be good. I'm happy to collaborate on putting something together. And I think when I read your outline, Felix, I think we have small, we have places where we've made a couple of these improvements already, and so it'd be good to highlight some of those pieces and say we're looking to expand, those patterns and those solutions across the configuration interface.
Yes. Yeah, actually, yeah. If you read it, that some of the things, the your like Slim Boot effort and then some of the OSF effort, it to some extent address some of the same problems. Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's important to call those out and say we're trying to take learnings from those solutions that have started to
Yes.
address the problems and looking at it more cohesively. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think maybe Felix, I think if we can coordinate whoever can join or listen, or even
Yeah.
Steven or somebody from consumer side, right? Even or even Chris or whoever it is, right? Consumer can join there, it'll be good too.
Raj and I worked on the abstract over email, so we can do the same thing, Felix.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and know that it is quite brutal when you start submitting it, because it will force you to go no more than 1,000 words for the main abstract, and then another 1,000, sorry, not words, my bad, 1,000
So
characters.
character.
And that is where I got confused in the first time when I started to do that. I'm like, yeah, 1,000 words, awesome. I can write pages. And then Sammy alerted that it should be less than 1,000 characters. And then so for the main body, it's 1,000 characters. For the for what's a message for the participants, that is another 1,000 words. And there is an abstract for an abstract, which is like how when it gets pushed to YouTube or whatever, you are supposed to give some, there's another, one two-liner, not more than 280 characters. So make sure you adhere to that. And the number of characters does need to include the number of spaces as well. So that's another thing. So just beware.
Are you doing 1,000 Mandarin characters?
Yes, probably. Try it. Let me know.
That's like 1,000 words. So
Okay, that's good. I believe we can Felix and you can able to coordinate with others and get that. It'll be good. Any other things that we want to submit out of the OPF? Say anything on chiplet or any other topics people are interested, or
Yeah, you guys are going to reach out chiplets and DCSCM 3.0, right?
yes.
Cool. I'm just here to plug that. I do so from the other side too.
Right. And also, Bijan, since I did have a conversation with you offline as well, I mean, or in emails and whatnot. So an update, I did take an action. I did go and educate myself internally. So we are still kind of running around in circles trying to figure from a chiplet perspective. So we haven't still bottomed out yet, but as soon as we have aligned, my thought is once we've gotten an alignment, we can add someone from AMD to represent firmware in UCI.
Awesome.
And I think, by the way, there is a OCP chiplet webinar. It's in March. So if you guys are interested, please join there.
Oh, that'd be great. That's a great point.
Is that one from the chiplet? Or is that just a generic OCP webinar, or is it coming from the chiplet? Okay.
It's AMD and it's AMD presenting, I think, in that workshop. And it's generic, I guess you'd say.
Bijan, do you know who from AMD is presenting it, or is that?
Not at my fingertips, but if you give me a second,
Well, yeah, you can take that offline and put it in the chat.
Yeah, it's in the mail. Yeah, I believe it's ARM, right?
On.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That was a snarky comment, Allison.
It was. Did not come out loud. Sorry, everyone. I'll bring it back. It was only said with the utmost respect, Raj. I would have said the same thing if it had been an Intel. Slip up.
Okay, so then let's probably move on to the next topic then. So next item is, I believe, if Bijan, if you find you can go through that. But I think next one is these two work stream write-ups. I believe we would like to review here before getting posted, and you want to get it posted so that when we start the work stream, then the write-ups are ready.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to review that write-up that you have, or not review but revise the write-up that bit. I'll let me and Allison take an action item to get that squared away. Allison, do you think that write-up kind of deserves a review, or review and modify?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can do a review of it and just clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's see. Let's do it by end of day tomorrow. No later than that, Allison.
Yep, that works.
Okay, that's good. Thank you so much.
And Felix, you already did the write-up. Do you want to review it here? Get any feedback from the team?
I mean, yes, I'd like to, I'm not sure how efficient it will be for people to read from the screen and to provide like that instant feedback.
I'll just describe it, right? What are the things you are trying to achieve, right?
Yes, but okay. So do you want me to share it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, let me think actually I kind of did that 10 minutes ago, but just let me find the link. Yeah. So okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
So essentially we want to improve the situation in the platform configuration area. And the way to do it is to increase interoperability and maybe provide a standardized solution for the typical problems. So what are the, like, first of all, what do we consider platform configuration data? So this is obviously the silicon customization data, like, for example, GPIO configuration, as well as some software policies. So both of those are configuration data. So like one of the pain points, at least that we see from our side, that typically the silicon reference code requires, like, I don't know, hundreds, if not thousands of different configuration parameters. Most of the time it's like a C file or a dozen of C files or 5 dozens of C files. So the level of complexity is high. At the same time, we are also receiving feedback from the OEMs that oftentimes people who are doing, I mean, they don't expect it to be that complicated. They may have hundreds of SKUs, so they expect it to be a simpler process. They don't, you know, to the extent that maybe you don't have to have a bachelor's degree to port your platform. So so we believe one way to address that is to come up with a standard simplified description format. You can say like a language that describes your configuration data, something that is not C, that is maybe easier to handle with. And we can discuss, there are multiple options, but you know, the most obvious things that comes to my mind is maybe something like a YAML based, something like that, that people can use to describe their to describe format of the data and to describe the values to put in the data. And then at the same time, there is a value in having a binary format for the configuration data. That's also a matter of interoperability, maybe a matter of once we have that format, that people can have some standardized tooling that goes something like akin to like SM bias tables or ACPI tables, just standardized like header format almost that you can use to traverse the tables. And then if you know this particular type of entry, then you can extract the data. Otherwise, you can like skip it and continue, something like that. And of course, you need some constraints on some requirements when you're working on a data format. So I tried to list at the end some of the problems that I think we should try to address. Like I listed 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first one is the single binary that supports multiple SKU, or maybe even single like YAML file that describes multiple SKUs. So I mean, it can be done by simply duplicating your descriptions, but that's not the most efficient way. So maybe we can come up with something better than that. The second problem is configuration migration. What I'm talking about here is that firmware update scenario, if you're flashing a new firmware, on one hand, there is a desire to preserve configuration across firmware update because, you know, obviously that's a custom configuration. Why would we reset it? At the same time, how can we be sure that the new firmware is compatible with the old configuration data? So that also, like, I have some ideas what we can do in that area. And finally, like things like GPIO, this is obviously like change once, never touch again kind of things. But we also have, I mentioned policy in the beginning. So the policy may get changed throughout the exploitation of the platforms. Like maybe it's a management agent, like a BMC or something like that, that goes and changes the settings. Or maybe it's a setup client. So I think I don't want to to work on like HI replacement here, but I think that whatever we come up with should be friendly to, like, it should be possible to align it with, for example, with UEFI HI or with anything else. So essentially, the data, the binary I mean, we should specify how people would approach it. If you have your management agent or the setup application, then how it will coexist with that unified platform configuration data. the last bullet I put, I hope at some point we can start the standardization of the particular domain areas, like for example, GPIO. But I'm not, I hope, but I'm also kind of skeptical because today there are too many discrepancies. But we'll see how it goes. But in general, I think this is the scope for this work stream as well.
So, Felix, are we covering only the BIOS portion of it, not the BMC or any other configuration? Or
Okay, so in general, that infrastructure will be generic in nature, so it will be suitable for describing any data structure. But we have to see if there is a demand for that beyond BIOS. So I'm kind of the BIOS guy, so I have my expertise in that area. So we'll need feedback from those other domains to see if it makes sense there. And one more thing I forgot to mention. So I think also creating, like as I said, we can create a reusable format, but then we may also define some generic API to literally like give me this piece of data or update this particular piece of data. But of course, if we are talking about the format can be abstract, can be applied to anything. But if you're talking about API, then we have to talk about the, what is the ABI, what are the calling conventions. So yeah, I think this is a good thing to have as long as we agree on those technicalities.
So Felix, it looks like you're not trying to describe any form of code to actually implement the changes described by the data format, the way that ACPI does, for example.
Like AML, right?
Right.
No,
But
like I
runtime-
hope we can stay out of it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to understand the breadth of the scope of this. I have talked with some people who do the data sheet things about using the same sort of information in terms of pin configuration for the other microcontrollers on the platform, because they are talking about wanting to this kind of process also goes to the BMC. That is not only the BMC, but on the embedded controller side, or where they want to take pin configuration data and understand what it means in all of its glory for them, so that they can actually do board-wide configuration, not just configuration of the main CPU complex. They're thinking, how do I, if I make this a GPO on this side, it has implications for being a GPI, an input on the other side, right? You're doing an output from one chip. It's an open drain. It's hooked up to some sort of I2C. How do I know that how do I do board design based on the GPIO configuration? So
Yeah, so the way I was thinking about that, so the first, like let's say, I have problem like this, and I'm starting to develop in my nice UI tool so that people can click and they're done. So what I'm trying to address, my first goal, what should be the output of that tool? So the output of that tool obviously will be either some kind of text description of the data or the binary description of the data. So that's what I would like to focus on to enable creation of those tools. And then we'll see, maybe OCP can, I don't know, sponsor some open source project, or maybe like how to implement it. That's the next step. But at least that will provide a foundation. And then at first we will talk in general terms, like I have a data structure, how do I describe it? And then maybe we can focus on domain areas, like you said, like whatever, I2C, GPIO.
right. Okay. Yep. I'm just trying to, thank you. I'm just learning, trying to understand the scope.
Yep, and it's definitely worth looking at prior art here, because I know device trees do some of this, what you're talking about here, and could possibly be shared with the BMC to set up more of the platform.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Device tree is one of the option. Let's see if we can have something simpler than device tree, but yeah, but that's definitely one of the potential options.
Yeah, so probably like step one of this work stream is figure out how the data should be encapsulated.
Yes.
Cool.
And the expectation is this is going to be used as an input to the open silicon sci-fi, and also output coming in that kind of format.
Yes, and also, like from my point of view, one of the requirements we want to avoid data manipulation. So ideally, like for example, the maybe silicon initialization interface expects like a policy data structure. So the ideally, we have a get API, give me a data structure with such as with such and such unique identifier. You are getting a blob, and you can pass this blob to the silicon init API like as is without any additional processing. That's a kind of a path to enable data-only platform porting as opposed to code-based platform porting. And that's also, yeah, coming back to the question, we have to see with the device tree how easy it would be to achieve these scenarios. Like especially for silicon initialization, some of the data is probably needed even before, maybe needed even before memory is available.
So Felix, so if you look at OpenCell, these are fairly simple, at least the silicon initialization part, fairly simple APIs, and you can pass pointers to the configuration parameters, right? Now, are you suggesting that the OpenCell or a layer above that would basically use this get API to get all the configuration params that will then later be passed on to the OpenCell libraries? Or can you simply pass, because it is going to be a standard structure, you can simply pass a pointer to the structure to the libraries, the silicon initialization libraries. OpenCell is what I'm talking about, at least.
Yeah, so today, since we, there is no standardization in platform configuration area, so all the like silicon code expect, we are making explicit call to the silicon initialization API, and we are passing a pointer to the data structure defined by the silicon vendor. So that scenario will still be supported, but also, as you said, once we have standardization, another option would be is to, we can pass the platform data, that's generic interface that knows how to read platform data to the silicon initialization API, and then as long as we have standardized identifiers for the type of information requested, the silicon initialization code can directly, use that interface to get the data.
Right. Yeah, I think that needs to be kind of brainstormed a little bit more to get an alignment. If Allison, do you have any comments on that? I mean, what I'm trying to get to is bare bones simplicity, right?
Yeah, Raj, that is possible. What you are saying is possible.
Yeah.
So that will be an output of your open sci-fi. If if everybody agrees, if the silicon vendor agrees that, hey, these are the parameters I will take, yes, possible to do it.
Yes.
I mean, that's the reason I was probing Allison, because
Yeah.
if we can unify the input structures, right, that would give enough information to the APIs, the OpenCell APIs, or the whatever the unified layer is, that basically says, hey, here's silicon initialization stage 1, and here's a pointer to all the structures that you need for stage 1, right? and then bam, it gets initialized based on the parameters that you passed. And regardless of whether it is Intel or AMD, it should be a unified structure.
Yeah, I'm aligned to that. And also, I mean, yes, we should be careful as we come up with these proposals to not be adding too many layers of abstraction.
Right. I mean, you know, the more number of abstractions, then you get back to the problem statement from where you
Yeah.
start. Right.
Yeah.
So that this should be, you should bear in mind at all times that simplicity is key to this, right? And any complexity, we go back to where we started.
Yes, I agree. Yes, and this is one of the goals, of course. Yes.
So Raj, you should put that as one of your objectives for open sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the abstract, simplicity is it? I
Not
think
simplicity, but you put that as we need to come up with a configuration, a standard format for it. Agree on a standard format.
well, that is what the point about unifying the interface is, right? So that's what it calls for. It calls for a unified interface, which is common across the silicon vendors.
Interface could be common, but here the data structure, right, the platform configuration is different from interface, right?
So here's the thing. What does common interface really mean? A common interface really means the name of the API is same. The configuration parameters that are passed to it is the same. Right? That's how you will define a common.
A parameter could be just a pointer to a memory, right? That is the common parameter between those two. But what that pointer points to is different. So interface doesn't capture that part, is what I think.
Well, I mean, if you say it's not just going to be a pointer, it's going to be a pointer to a certain structure, and that certain structure has to be common for the entire API to be unified.
Okay, if that is understanding, we are good.
If my thinking is flawed, somebody please correct me. That's what I'm thinking. But if I mean, I can make it explicit. In fact, we could.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
Yeah.
I think this conversation just says that we need to write it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I stand corrected.
Because like part of my understanding of what common may mean is something you have to define at build time. And say we reuse a common piece of equipment, I'd like to be able to use the same configuration across multiple platforms.
And common equipment, by common equipment, you mean to say common platform, but with a different silicon.
Yep. Yeah. So say there's some specific PCIe config or something like that that we'd like to reuse and not have to do specific for each new platform for the same plugin device.
Yeah, that is correct. And in fact, you know, I was you know, having a deep thought on the subject this morning, and I was reading through Subrata Banik's slides, and you know, one of the things that he speaks about is that in addition to having common interfaces, we should also identify common code between the silicon initialization and up, you know, up and move it up the stack as well into the common interface. That was an interesting idea. I think you know, I feel it's a very interesting idea. We should look into it, but I think we should first get the bases right. Let's get the interface done for Open Sci-Fi 1.0, and then for Open Sci-Fi 2.0, we can start identifying those opportunities where we have common code, where there is no IP, and we can, you know, move it up into that layer so that it could be unified / standardized or whatever, right? That it felt like a brilliant idea today, but that could be reserved for 2.0.
And Felix, in your write-up, you're mostly talking about the configuration. You will get errors and events, right? Are you going to plan to address that as part of the work stream to unify that too?
You mean the to address what the interfaces?
Yeah, so it will include reporting errors or reporting
Oh,
any
the
events.
errors.
Right.
Yes, but we have to see. Probably some of it will be on the silicon initialization side, but some of it will be on the configuration side. Yes.
But as part of the work stream, then the charter is going to address that also, right? Configuration related events and errors, if any.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to think about it because that has to plug into the like a bigger framework, the in silicon initialization framework, right?
Right. If you agree, I think probably adding some words around that might be helpful too.
Felix, wouldn't it be a goal to have the translation between the text base and the binary base somehow well defined? Shouldn't that be a goal
Yes.
as well? Okay. Yeah, it seems to me that one of the big problems is that you end up with a binary format and a text format, which are tricky to manipulate in going one way or the other. Especially I'm thinking HII for this exact reason, right? It has the exact tricky relationship between the binary of the storage and the user interface, what's displayed to the user. Okay. And things like SWID in security, SWID has the SWID format and then the co-SWID, the binary encoding format, or RIM and co-RIM in TCG land, right? Where they've done a very deliberate one-to-one correspondence between the high-level language and the text-based language and the binary encoding of it.
Yes, I think that should be the goal. Yes, ideally one-to-one correspondence. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, Felix, are we going to define a language in this case? Are we going to leave it to somebody? Because, are we defining here text space? I thought we are going to leave it to the implementer, right? The final binary is what we should be concerned.
I mean, so both are in scope. The binary format, maybe that's at least seems like an easier target. Maybe we can start with that. But I think the source format as well, like so that you can maybe write your configuration for a piece of equipment, like pass it to another party, and then they can, they're guaranteed to have the same output. So, as I said, the tool development, anyway, this team is not equipped to manage the actual development, but the specification, I think, should be detailed enough to enable implementation of such a tool without any ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
So Srini, what's in your mind? I mean, why not?
No, no, because it looks like a VFR, right? We instead of VFR, we are saying now I'm just giving an example, maybe a JSON or a YAML we are going to pick in this case, right? So is that the text base should be defined? That one was the question, whether that was in the scope or not, or we have to leave it. I just the question I raised. That's all.
Okay.
So it says, I think Felix wants to have that defined, right, Felix?
Yes, but it's a matter of, to answer the question, we have to see, is there problems that will be addressed by defining it, right?
Okay.
And then the second, there is a practicality, whether we have enough, I don't know, bandwidth to work on it. So that we can see. As I said, the binary seems to be, maybe we can start with that. I'm not sure, if we can work in parallel.
So, is there a place where we can talk face to face to hammer out some of these things, Felix? I mean, I'm really interested in this, and I'm going, but it's hard to discuss it remotely. It's much easier to with a whiteboard in hand and somewhere. Is there a place where we're all going to be in one place together, or a number of us are going to be together in the same room, or could be to talk about some of this?
Well, end of April. I mean, that's too far away.
No. Well, I'm laughing at the end of April because there's also this RSA event during the same time. Like, okay, I can choose to go to RSA or I can choose to go to the end of April OCP event. If that was whatever kind of way to bring people together to make sure we're all on the same page and do the quick and back and forth question question and answer that makes a spec quickly evolve to a close to the final form is what I'm trying to figure out. So, but yeah, if April is the soonest event on the calendar for this group, then maybe that's a little far away.
Tim, is it possible to have virtual whiteboard?
To have a
So
what?
that
Sorry.
without virtual whiteboard, where without traveling, at least we can make some progress before we can meet.
That's certainly I'm up for it, but I think that the again, whiteboards are themselves virtual whiteboards are kind of
So, did you?
It's not your thing.
not my thing. Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, but I'm saying I was just looking for any time when a number of us are going to be in the same place at the same time, where we could already just because of our other work responsibilities. But if online is the only way to achieve this in the short term, sure. I mean I'm up game for that. I'm just trying to find a way to improve the process.
I think we should find a way to meet a few times before we meet the face to face. That way, at least
Can
we
we
got most of
OCP
the
can
feedback.
sponsor it?
Yeah. So let me
If you
ask.
guys do if you do a face to face, we can help you.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Bijan, do you think it could be sponsored by OCP to meet face to face maybe once or twice a year outside of the summits?
Yeah, we can help you out with that. We have, this is a focus area of ours and we want to encourage that. So the ask is that, you know, to do a workshop where you're actually working on, you know, making progress and not just kind of replaying you know, presentations or whatever. And yeah, we're here to help.
All right. And what is the process? Maybe I can take that offline, Bijan, but perhaps
Just mention, hey, just message to Michael Schill and, you know, copy me or whatever and say, hey, we're interested in setting up an, you know, a on-site workshop and, you know, face-to-face workshop, whatever, and start from there. It's, yeah, we don't really have any kind of boilerplate to share with you, but.
all right, that sounds like a good one. And perhaps one of us can host if it's, you know,
Yep.
one of us can host like AMD or Intel or host meaning at their sites.
Some space you needed, right? That's all, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Space and a whiteboard.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think-
down. I'm definitely down for that. If we can arrange something like that, I would really like that. I think it's a good path forward for these both work streams. Actually, you know, to have Felix be able to draw on a whiteboard and the rest of us talk and comment, and the back and forth would, I think, move both of these work stuff forward quickly.
Okay, I'll start an email thread.
Thanks,
Starting with when you want it, and then I can go through the approval processes and whatnot.
Let's do it.
That's good. Nice.
So I have a couple of questions to Raj, actually. Raj, so that your Open Silicon initialization abstract, has it already been submitted?
It's not open. Oh yeah, you mean to say the Open Sci-Fi, the
Yeah.
interface? Yes, that has been submitted. But I'm not sure if you can still modify it. Generally,
No, I wanted to maybe just read it. Can you?
yeah, go
like-
ahead. It's already submitted. I can send you a pointer to it. I can put a pointer to it in the chat here. Give me a second. Let me get it.
So yeah, maybe at least from my point of view, we are getting the typical way of communicating is some magic links in the chat, which works, but maybe we should also collect them somewhere on the wiki page, or I don't know. Because even that workstream document, I saved the link from the, last time it was in the chat, but I don't know how to find it if I lose it.
Yeah, I think let us probably create a common things in the wiki so that we can start adding stuff. Let us
Yes.
figure out a easy way
Also,
to put the links there. Yeah.
also, is there a way to control access to it initially? Like, for example, if
Ye-
I'm also thinking about, a problem that just surfaced. Tim, you're aware of it. So if I want to do a review of the OpenSIL architecture spec, now I do want all the stakeholders and the partners that we've worked with to feed into it and review it. So it, is there a repository that I can put my FAS in and access control just to just for the ones who will be reviewing, so that there's a certain level of privacy there?
So as part of your OCP account, Raj, you should have a Google Drive. Then you can control that access.
Okay.
Yeah, based on that. Yeah.
Yeah, but not everybody would have it. Let me think about it. So internally, so let's say, within AMD, I do have some of the folks that I would like them to be monitoring the feedback and whatnot, but they don't have an OCP.
You don't need the OCP account. The person who's putting the document need to have that account, right?
I got it.
Then you can give access control to it.
Got it.
And there's also other, I mean, we have the Google, infrastructure that you could use. We could also set up an OCP GitHub repository for you. And
Well,
you can
yeah,
work on theirs if you wish.
yeah, the GitHub repository will not work because it's a Word document.
Oh yeah, you would have to use Markdown or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bert Rene from AMD, my partner at AMD, him and I, we were talking about this morning, and we do plan to, before we put it out on the GitHub, we do plan to convert the Word document into RST and then publish it. But before it gets published, it needs to be reviewed in the Word format and whatnot, so that we can track changes and whatnot. So which from an RST is not a very rich, it does not allow you a rich environment for content creation. So I'm thinking we should keep our single source of truth as Word, get all the reviews done, and then once it is final, we convert that into RST and then publish it.
Yeah, you may want, yeah, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but just one last thing. You may want to look at some of the latest tools available. I've been using LaTeX and Markdown for a long time, but I had the necessity to add in some co-writers to a white paper that didn't have any experience with it, and so they were able to find these WYSIWYG tools online that basically make it like Word, where what you see is what you get. So you bold, you underline, you drop in pictures, links, whatever. And it works the same way. So I'm not pushing you one way or the other. I'm just saying, hey, there are some other options.
Got it. Yeah, I'll take a look at it, Jean. That's a good pointer for me to go and explore.
Hey, Raj,
So-
can I ask Raj a question?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
The submission you made for EMEA regional event, I know we talked about that last call.
Yes. Yes.
Who did you list as the speakers?
So there are only 2 speakers listed. I cannot go more than 2.
And who is that?
It's Allison and myself.
I see. Didn't we talk about a panel approach, or did we?
Yeah. I was actually thinking
Panel
of
5
this morning. Yeah.
Huh?
We could.
I guess why the rush on submitting that when knowing we were having this meeting, February 10th deadline, and you decided not to give the greater group a review of the abstract. I'm a little surprised.
It was reviewed by Allison and myself, and so
It's an OPF work stream. I trust you and her to review it. It's an OPF work stream. I think you know what my question is, Raj.
Okay, I can go ahead and do that. So go ahead and review. If there are any changes, we can push those.
How could I review it? You've submitted it. How do we review it?
You can still review it.
Where?
And if there are any changes, I was gonna post the link to the on the chat, and then we got into this discussion. So I'll send the link to it. Review it. Let me know if you have any changes. I can always ask Callie to make edits and resubmit.
It's really a question. You know, it's just a matter of protocol going forward. You'd have to admit, when you look at the screen, right? You've been a member of, you know, you've been here since minute one. Not all of us have, but your participation at these calls is as great as it's ever been. Right? I think you could say that for OPF, this project.
Yeah, I apologize.
And so you have to start thinking about things a little differently. That's all. I had the call, and we had a February 10th deadline. We should have had a chance to review this.
Yeah, I apologize, Stephen. Next time I'll submit it February 10th, or at the deadline. Okay.
Okay. Just chance to look at it. I assume it can be changed if there's a problem. Because I remember talking about a larger group, you know, participating in that, which, you know.
So I think, Stephen, if you want to write a panel proposal, write it up and send it for review.
That's not my point at all, Timmy. I don't have.
I understand.
I'm trying to support the work stream here. I'm just trying to support the work stream. I'm going to be there. You know, we're prepared to send Tim there, and in fact, we talked about. So it's just you know, I think it's a professional courtesy. That's all. That's fine. I'll drop it.
Just to be fair, you know, like, it's not a bad comment. I mean, I hear this in other contexts. So just to generalize, you know, one thing that we all kind of get feedback on from the community is they like to see, they like to collaborate on things, or at least see them before they get submitted. And that's not just for this, it's for everything. Just so be aware that there's a lot of people in our community that bring this up to us, and we are, as a foundation, trying to facilitate, you know, make sure that people do work collaboratively. Sometimes it's not exactly possible because there might be some mitigating circumstance. Understood, no problem. But just be aware that that's a common situation. So we should be sensitive to that.
Okay, any other last minute before we close today?
Raj also mentioned some presentation, like chipset installation presentations that you were reviewing. Is it something publicly available? Is it like, can you also provide a link? Like
Yeah,
you mentioned, yeah.
I will send you the link. I think given we have one more meeting before February 10th, so probably you should send your write-up through email for review. Then I believe we should submit it as a.
No, I'm talking about, I think Raj was saying that he was reviewing some presentation and it was some like inspiring quote. So if that's a public presentation, you know, just send the link. We'll also review it.
Yeah, I'll see if it is available publicly. This was sitting in my email inbox. It was sent by Chris. Is Chris here from 9 Elements?
He was. I think you dropped.
Yeah.
All right. So I sent the link to the abstract, and I do have I can modify it if required. but go ahead and review and provide me with your feedback if there is any. And if not, then that will simply stick.
So Raj,
Uh,
you're sure that we can, as someone who didn't create the abstract, that we can actually look at it?
Yeah, I think so.
No, after
I don't know
submitting,
about that. I don't know if like
Can
No,
you?
it's because I can log into, you
You-
know,
I
to
sent the
the
link.
FNIDs.
you
I don't
you
know.
cannot
Maybe Bajan
review
knows.
others. Only the
Yeah.
submitters can review.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that it would be that open.
Yeah, but you
for
could
a variety-
take the text and send it out if you want to review that.
I'll do that.
Okay.
And one more thing before we close. So thank you, Flex, for walking through the work stream update. And Raj and Alison, you will write send the updated version. My question is, do you want to get that updated before the next meeting at this 2 weeks from now, or we want to review that before we push it to the
Yeah, I'll send it to,
OCP?
I'll send it out to everybody in the OPF group, and if there are any comments, I can.
So then let us do this one, right? If you can send that right up, let us do a offline review, and maybe let us do a final review in the OPF call week after next.
Okay.
And once that is final, then we can post that in the OCP site.
Yeah, I would appreciate if they can do it offline and provide me with feedback as well. But I can, we can wait till, I mean, since it is already there. If there aren't any feedback, then by February 10th, after that, I won't be able to edit anyways.
Sammy,
No, I'm not talking about the abstract, Raj.
Oh,
I'm
you
talking
mean the
about
work stream proposal,
Right,
Sammy?
right.
Okay, yes. And I think that one, I think Raj and I committed earlier in the call that we'd at least do an update with the information that we used in the abstract and send that out for people to review this week. So that, yes, they'd have offline time before the next call.
Okay. Then
Yep.
after next call, let us do a final review. Then we post it in the OCP.
Yeah.
site.
And then maybe similar to what Felix did, and we'll just let the reflector know when that's live.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. We are almost 7 minutes after. Any
Yeah.
other things before we close, or?
This is Stephen. One last thing. Bajan,
Yeah.
can you stay on the line for a second? I want to just ask you an unrelated question to what we're doing here.
Certainly.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Good. Thank you, Tim. We'll see you week after next.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, Stephen.
I realize you only have email to contact you, and I had this. Well, it's related to a different kind of abstract, and I had my notes last call. I thought I heard you say that MHS as a subproject was moving,
No,
or no? Okay, so is it still? It's still a subproject of server.
yes.
Okay. Okay. So I started looking at that and thinking, was it hardware management that was taking that on?
Yes. Yeah. So what happened was, the discussion last time was about DCSCM.
Yep.
DCSCM was originated by the same folks that did MHS, but then it moved out to hardware management, and it was iterated there. I think they came out with version 2 or something like that, and then now it's moved back to MHS. And
Okay.
so the stipulation was, my stipulation was that
Yeah.
if we do this, then I don't mind MHS being the keeper of the physical form factors, because they're consuming it and they need it, and they need it smaller basically. But I want, groups like this and other groups to kind of, and security, for example, to kind of make sure its best functionality is in that spec too. So
Gotcha. When folks use the term DC stack, that's a new term for me. I obviously know DC, SCM, and MHS, but is DC Stack something different, or is it the collective of MHS and SCM?
I think that's just kind of
Encompassing.
yeah, I think it's
all
kind of
it's
yeah,
used
all
in the
encompassing.
context of OCP data center stack, DC Stack standards.
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of a generalization. It's not an official term or anything like that.
All right, I just
It's
wonder
not
if
something that
people would
we
know what
use
that is.
internally. Yeah.
So why am I asking? So to be completely transparent, we're working with Cypro
Uh-huh.
and with Vincent. You probably know Vincent.
Yeah.
And we want to make a submission. We want to make a submission for the EMEA event, and I wanted to make sure that we target it to the right place. And if you are aware of, which you probably are, the Hire project, of which Cypro is one of the team members, the partners there, and we anticipate that inside probably Tim Lewis, our CTO, will be a technical advisor to the Hire project.
Mhm.
We'd like to use the EMEA event to sort of just educate. I don't know if I could say introduce, because I don't know if the OCP community knows much about the Hire project. So this is Cypro inside, possibly one other, maybe Rise, maybe, don't know. We don't want to overcomplicate it. Introducing the Hire project, obviously, leveraging OCP standards. I think you probably understand what their aim is in terms of processor modules and management modules. A true European-centric target at hardware modularity.
And we're
so
100% aligned with that. I mean, that's
Right.
exactly what we want to see happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. So that's why I was asking. And now we're going to ask. They're a startup community. We're a community member. They're a startup member.
Mhm.
I want, if you can, to the degree you can give me some guidance, I really want this to be selected, and it would be Vincent and Tim to present. Do people ask for a preview? Is this something we could bring to you and
Yeah.
get your opinion prior to making a submission, or is that out of bounds?
No, it's within bounds.
Okay.
I'm limited to what I can tell you, but I can give you the success metrics and point out
Okay.
what I think is important to selection and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't, show favoritism or whatever. But
No. It's
but
really
it-
just yeah.
yeah, no, people, like there was a major company that submitted 9 things at Global Summit and they were all rejected, right? And so
Yeah.
I was like, hey, next time run that by me and I'll tell you
Yeah.
what's important.
Right. Or consolidate here or there or something to get them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good to know. That's excellent. We're going to keep working on this with Vincent and probably have. I suggested it at our call the other day. I said I think Bijan, if he can do it, would be a great resource to run this by. And so now I know that we can do that. We certainly will take advantage. Thank you for
Right.
that.
And you have
Yeah.
my email address, right?
I do.
Okay.
Where
Yeah,
are you
cool.
located?
I'm in Texas now. So
Oh, you're in Texas. Okay, I'm outside of Boston. Okay, so we can easily reach one another.
absolutely. So yeah, whenever you have something, reach out to me and we'll make sure that we're on the right track. Now, Cypro, I want to I actually am working on this open systems for AI white paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thinking about mentioning well, I probably couldn't mention names, but I've alluded to the fact that we want to have a large ecosystem of inference and of course training, but inference
Sure.
capable processors, right? And so
Yeah.
and we want them, and we think that supply chain regionalization to strengthen the supply chains like a very big important consideration.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all in alignment here.
Yeah. Good. The other one I'm trying to work myself into is Project Leapfrog. Another, you know that
Yeah.
one, another regional.
Yeah.
Hendrik, and maybe, who knows, maybe we can get something together there for I don't know. It'll make sense for the Taiwan event being such a Korea-based. I don't know. We'll get there. We're Insight is I don't know if you know, we're a Taipei, Taiwan headquartered company. Have been since 2003.
Oh,
And,
didn't know that.
Yeah, so we're very much looking forward to having an OCP event in our backyard, and we've already signed up to exhibit and sponsor. So that.
Okay, you've already been
Yep.
in touch. Okay.
Oh
good.
yeah. Yep. So we're excited. Well, thank you. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Appreciate it. And I'm going to send you a quick email with all my contact information. If I could just get your number coming back to me, I'd be grateful.
All right, shoot it over. I'll send it back.
Thanks, man.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.